So Brale has been working for the past about 12, maybe even 13 months on basically two things: building enabling technology and also getting regulatory approvals to do what I'm going to show you today. Our view is generally that there's $200 trillion locked up in legacy systems, primarily in financial institutions around the world. But legacy systems are not necessarily bad. They're like this wonderful, great enabler. They were the things that enabled internet banking. They were the things that enabled fintech generally, balances to be held across a number of applications. A lot of the things that we know of as modern innovations in banking and finance stem from these legacy systems. So they can be a great enabler. And so a lot of our work really focused on how do we combine, just like the website says, the benefits and strength of central finance with some new DeFi protocols. And DeFi protocols might be public and they might be private. There's a lot of nuance here that we're going to kind of gloss over. One of the things that we started out doing is thinking about what is the enabling technology to deploy an off-chain asset on-chain. And these things typically have similar attributes. For example, you want to define what the backing asset is and where it's at. You want to define what the brand is. You want to define what the workflow is that creates the asset, what chains you actually want it to deploy it on, to be deployed on, and then basically who you want to be responsible for managing it. These are not necessarily like provocative ideas, but how you implement them can be relatively difficult in a certain context. I think my dog is telling me someone is at the front door, so we're going to ignore whoever's at the front door for now. Okay, so we've taken this framework and really utilized it to create initial stablecoins. And the reason we've focused on stablecoins specifically is because we feel like it's a way to extend that money that is inside of traditional financial institutions into a new series of ecosystems or blockchains, not dissimilar than how a balance has been extended into Square or Venmo or PayPal or a number of other applications. It's just an interface to get a new generation of users access to money in their wallet, which is stable. And one generation's wallet might be Apple Pay, another one might be Venmo, another one might be MetaMask. The first product that we built is more of a demonstration of how to build a high quality fiat-backed stablecoin. It's called SBC. It is extremely boring and it follows all the best practices you could possibly imagine. The processes for creating a new stablecoin like minting is acting as an exchanger. So what I'm showing you has like a simple button, but this is a regulated activity. So is redemption, where you're burning a stablecoin and converting it to USD. And technically, so is custody in some areas, and Brale also has built the custody stack. So behind the scenes, you have a multi-region, multi-node MPC infrastructure that is supporting this, and we manage that infrastructure ourselves, which is one of the reasons this took so long. What you see here with stablecoin is audited smart contracts that support the stablecoin. There's currently $6.4 million in change in this particular stable. We're circulating a white paper at the moment for feedback. Many people actually in the community have provided feedback on that. Thank you so much for doing it. A stablecoin standing on its own is not necessarily that interesting. So we'll move into what is interesting. We built all of this to basically show how a high quality fiat-backed stablecoin could be built through a regulated entity. It's important to call out that Brale is a regulated and licensed money transmitter headquartered in Des Moines, Iowa. You can check the NMLS on our website. And so what we're going to do today is we're just going to create a brand new multi-chain stablecoin that maintains natural supply live. So before we did this, we wired in or $1,000 is wired in to fund what I'm going to show you guys. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a brand new stable coin. It's 11:52, so let's see how long this takes. So if I was following sort of like common vernacular, I might say value summit USD, BUSD, but I think we have a little bit more fun with it. Who knows? That seems a little bit more on brand to me. So these are what we describe as primitives, and these primitives define the actual stablecoin and smart contract that I'm going to deploy. When I create the actual mint instruction, let's say I'm going to do $500 on Avalanche, and then I'm going to define the wallet I want it to go into, which is hosted by Brale, and the keys are managed by Brale. I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and when I do that, The funds have already been wired. And essentially what's going to happen here is we're going to wait for the chain to confirm the actual transaction. The transaction being the smart contract to deploy, followed by the mint for the 500 stablecoins. Now, this part of the process I always find remarkably boring because all we can really do is wait, which ironically is the thing that takes the most amount of time when creating a new regulated stablecoin through the platform. Keeping in mind that we do not have a desire to create a stablecoin that is the only stablecoin. Our view of the future is that stablecoins will move between chains, between assets themselves, and also certainly across symbols. And we want to make that extremely easy. So you can see that this is pending. So I think, Chase, that means it's been picked up and we're now waiting on n number of confirmations in order to display that mint as complete. So that particular stablecoin contract was deployed on Avalanche. And after this one completes, assuming we have time, we'll go ahead and we'll do Polygon, and then we'll show you swaps across the different chains. All we can do is wait. How much time do we have, Keenan?
We're good on time. We can wait. Anything for Brale.
That's not true. We got to hold to the time. We got to hold to the time.
This is right. This is our group after all. We're the ones in charge.
Can you show the code for the smart contract?
Yeah.
While waiting.
We're waiting. I mean, this is one of the challenges of deploying these particular types of products into the market, is that one, the entity that actually does the issuance of the stablecoin that takes in the capital is a regulated entity, and then the smart contracts that are managed need to be audited by a third party. So putting in the inputs to the form is not complex. Managing all the edge cases and everything behind the scenes for the stablecoin to be deployed does take some time. Chase, how much time do you think, sir?
Ben, for who are we waiting now? Who has to issue this, or is it just a blockchain transaction?
We are waiting on the blockchain to have enough confirmations to consider the transaction complete.
So Ben, maybe one of the questions we get a lot from outside of this group is what would be the use cases? Why are people or companies issuing their own stable coins?
What we've noticed so far is that some brands have a desire to have simply their brand on the stablecoin in a similar way that some brands that might be, let's say, popular fintechs have their own branded experience around their own balances. And a stablecoin is just a permission balance. So if you think about a stablecoin being represented in an application in one particular way, it's the same way that maybe a fintech might present a balance inside of an application in a specific way. We've noticed that'd be a very consistent use case.
i.e. for gaming or for affinity or some stuff like that, right?
Or if it is interoperable, we've seen everything from B2B applications for businesses in closed or open environments, all the way to more like P2P applications. You can see that the contract there was completed and it picked up the mint. And so now we wait for the mint. The good news is the interface that we've tried to build, we've worked to abstract all the complexity of actually explaining things or talking about solidity or key management. A lot of these things are solutions that we had to provide on the back end in order to make this relatively easy and simple. Also, Keenan, I'm realizing the way I shared my screen is also potentially like recording someone's phone number. Probably just something for us to be aware of. Sorry about that. Okay. So you can now see that I have $500 worth of my new stablecoin sitting in Avalanche inside of a custodial wallet sitting at Brale. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to mint more. And now that the contract primitives have been defined, I don't have to define that anymore. Since I mentioned that I wired in $1,000, we can do 500 each and start another mint on a separate chain without writing a line of solidity or really even talking yet about EVM versus non-EVM, of which these are all EVM chains that we're going to demo during this particular instance. So once this is done, what I will show you is actually swapping between the different chains. And you can see in the interface, there's not anything else on this particular account. This is a full KYB account that has gone through our own program, through our own BSA officer, to ensure that anything that occurs before this is done under the letter of the law with regulated financial institution partners. You also notice that during this process, a lot of that stuff is just abstracted away, really because Brale is the regulated entity who is issuing these particular stablecoins.
Can you talk about the business model? I mean, how would it be if you become a customer of that kind of stuff? How do you charge for something like this?
Yeah, depending on the customer and full transparency, we charge SaaS plus gas. What we found is that most of the clients that we've been talking to are doing discovery over the last year and thousands of hours of discovery calls, is that managing gas fees is not something people enjoy doing in consumer applications or B2B applications. We have found many times that even if they understand what it is, it represents challenges for financial institutions to hold those gas fees on their balance sheet as assets that are volatile and go up and down. So the way that our system works is we simply prepay all of it for our customers. And then in a very, very, very boring Web 2 or even Web 1 way, we bill them back at the end of the month for the gas that they utilized. Our customers are all businesses. So these are all enterprise clients and they're not consumers on the platform.
So Ben, would it be a correct statement to say that people who would be using the minted tokens would be able to pay the gas fees in that token, or do they have to have like little bits of ETH laying around? Or
so on the back side of this, we essentially fund any of the wallets that pay the fees associated with the on-chain transactions. So we draw those down out of our own wallets and then bill back with a small percentage of markup based on what was utilized. So if you don't utilize any gas fees, you don't get billed anything. If you utilize a whole bunch, you get billed something. Now, I'm not sure how many people have ever worked through deploying a smart contract on different chains live, but certainly what you are seeing here is, this is the real deal. We will send out the links inside of the Telegram so that people can see it. Certainly, I'm also choosing to do all of this on public chains so that the community can basically see live what it is we're doing there's no shenanigans here. This is real money and being deployed live with a product we haven't launched yet. So thanks for working along with me. I will stop there because Keen and I don't want to drag this out. I'll finish the rest of the transactions while we are in breakout and share them in the chat. Thanks for letting me demo, folks.